Welcome to Odds.com's NCAA basketball coverage for Tuesday, March 2nd with our expert, Maxwell. Smart Max, Saturday was tricky. It was a minefield. It was your first losing day in a while. 5 wins, 7 losses, down 2.80 units. But you're still having a spectacular season, up 26.76 units, ROI plus 6.71%. A 5-7 day does not stop the Maxwell Smart train. And I'm happy to be back in action with you. How are you doing on this Monday evening?
Jim, I had a really good day today. Live betting, pre-game betting, second half betting, just a really good day. So I'm feeling really good. And you bringing up the memories that I have from Saturday sort of just tilted me a little. And I'll tell you why. Because when you watch top 10 quality competition blow double-digit leads at the half and then just fold like a folding chair, it makes a person want to take a pen like this and find the closest stranger and puncture their jugular with it.
See, watching Florida State lose that lead, it was the opposite. I wanted to take a sharp pen like that and puncture my own jugular. I was going to take it out on myself, not others.
See, the problem with that is you have no one to spend your money for you if you do that. I think that when you do it to someone else, at least you have a reason to spend your money. You get to contribute it to legal fees and the court costs. But getting past that, Jim, because as you know, I am a volume bettor and I bet a lot of volume. I'm ready to go. I picked out awesome games, and hopefully we're going to fuck with our eyes open. And
Yes.
It's glorious.
Let's do exactly that, Max. Let's do exactly that. You have a beautiful card. You start at 5 p.m. Eastern with the biggest game, arguably biggest game on the board. And then you close up shop 9 p.m. Eastern. Big marquee games throughout. Let's get right to work. 5 p.m. Eastern. The number 3 ranked Baylor Bears. 18-1, 10-1 in the Big 12. The jarring numbers there are the number 3 beside Baylor, not the 2 that we've seen all year, and the number in the loss column that we haven't seen all year. Number 6, West Virginia Mountaineers, 17-6, 10-4 in the Big 12. We're in Morgantown, West Virginia, and West Virginia University Coliseum. Baylor opening up at -4. That's a Bet365 opener. They've moved to 4.5 there, but not all the books have moved it to 4.5. There's still a lot of 4s out there. This total opening up at 149.5. A couple books have dropped that hook down to 149. Baylor coming off its first loss of the season, 71-58 at Kansas, is 4.5-point favorites. They only turned the ball over 3 times, but they shot 34.8% from the field, 23.1% from 3. And here was the jarring stat. I mean, if you think those numbers are bad, try 37.5% from the foul line. Senior starter Mark Vital went 2 for 8 from the stripe. Guards Maceo Teague and Davian Mitchell were the only ones to score in double digits, but they shot a combined 12 for 35. A rare, poor shooting night. They averaged 84.9 points per game. They hit 49.5% from the field, 42.1% from 3. They were also soundly beaten on the glass. They were out-rebounded 48-28. They have 4 wins against ranked opponents this season, and I'm very curious if Max sees a bounce-back spot for them. West Virginia's won 3 straight and 6 of 7. They're coming off an impressive 65-43 win at home over lowly Kansas State as 15.5-point favorites. They held Kansas State to 29.4% from the field, 15.8% from 3. Only 2 players scored in double digits. Sean McNeil, 16, 6 for 10. Derek Culver. Miles McBride leads the team in scoring, averaging 15.5 points per game. They score 77.1 points per game. They only turn the ball over 11.8 times a game. They shoot 43.1% from the field, 36.5% from the free throw line, and 69.9% from the stripe. They've gone 5-4 against ranked teams this year. This is a battle-tested group. Max, I can't wait to hear your breakdown. Baylor, West Virginia, 5 p.m. Eastern. Take it away.
Yeah, Jim, obviously with Baylor, this is a situational rebound spot, but the bottom line is in their 18 days that they were off, they forgot how to have good starts because they've gone down 10-plus points in both games. And I think that against Kansas, you weren't able to make that comeback due to the quality of defense that you were encountering on the other side. And against Iowa State, that's just a black mark on their season. Well, now that the undefeated streak is over, they got the one loss, probably have a little bit of less weight on their shoulders. And plain and simply, offense is a must for this team. You cannot have another game where you score 58 points, and that's 9 points lower than any other game that you played this year for your scoring output. And with Baylor, what they do well is create offense with their defense. Their turnover margin is 6.5. Their turnovers that they force are 18 a game. They get 9.5 steals, and they score a ton of 3-point transition buckets. If they can do that, then Baylor's going to be able to come back and win this game. At this number, though, I line this game at 3.5, and I line this total at 142.5. This is a spot where last year these two teams played in this at Morgantown. They went to 158. I do not think that we're going to see that type of scoring again. I think that this is definitely going to be a lower scoring game. And I think that it's going to really depend on what you get from Baylor's bench mob. With TT, Matthew Mayer, and Adam Flagler, you're going to get basically 25 points a game. And when this team is outscoring the other team's bench, that's when they're winning and crushing spreads. In games that, on average, their bench wins games by plus 16 points. And there's been 11 games where they've been able to score 33 or more points as a bench. And I think that's really important. Having depth to deal with your lack of credible size to go up against Culver and Gabe Osaboyan. Sorry, I butchered his name, but I just think that Baylor is better looking in the first half. I think that versus West Virginia, they have a first half advantage of around 4 points. They need more shots, and they need to just get more shots. They got to keep the freaking threes dropping. They got to get hit at least 10, and they got to keep West Virginia off the free throw line. That's why I like Baylor in the first half, because I do think that West Virginia will be able to get to the free throw line with more frequency, and that will lead to them tighten the score up in the second half. With Baylor, you got to keep the turnovers down. You keep them under 10. Then I think that you're going to cash the first half for us, and then you're probably going to have a little bit of harder time closing it out in the end, and I'd be looking at West Virginia full game. So, Jim, I want Baylor first half in the morning. I want West Virginia now at 4.5, please.
Wow, very, very interesting breakdown. And I thought maybe you were going to go to an under, or an under as well, but 149.5, I can understand that's safe. Tight. I can get you the plus 4.5 at minus 110 at FanDuel. That 4.5 is at minus 115 at a few of the other books, but not at FanDuel. So let's get you that right now. Full game plus 4.5 at minus 110 at FanDuel. And then Baylor first half in the morning. Very, very exciting way to play this, Max. 5 p.m. Eastern. You're going to stay off the total.
I'm going to be betting the under just because I have such a large amount of value, but I'm not going to triple up on a game because, Jim, remember, every time I triple up, I regret it, and then I say, why didn't you stop me? So I'm going to stop myself.
All right. Makes sense. We are on the board. Double up spot for Max. Both sides being bet. Baylor first half in the morning. West Virginia Mountaineers full game plus 4.5 minus 110 at FanDuel. We move on to 6 p.m. Eastern. Wake Forest Deacons 6-13 on the year, 3-13 in the ACC. At Pittsburgh Panthers 9-10, 5-9 in the ACC. We're at Petersen Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh opening up as 6.5-point favorites. That has moved to 7 at most books. This total opened up at 138. It's all the way up to 140. At some books. Some books are behind. There's still 138.5s. There's a 138 out there. I don't know if that's a stale line. I would have to double check. There's 139s. There's 139.5s. And the leading indicator books have moved it to 140. 40. Both teams are on losing streaks. Wake Forest, coming off their fifth straight loss, 84-46 at Virginia Tech. They've lost their last four by an average of 25.3 points. Against Virginia Tech, they shot 27.3% from the field. They were down 49-22 at the half. Senior Jonah Antonio was the lone player to score double digits with 12. This year's leading scorer, Davian Williamson, was held to 2 points. He averages 12.2 a game. They scored just 66.4 points per game, hit 41.2% from the field, 34.2% from three, 73.5% from the line. Pittsburgh has lost 5 straight. They're coming off a 65-62 loss to NC State. Unlike Wake, all 5 losses for Pitt have come by single digits. And it was their first game without both second and third leading scorers, Audis Tony and Xavier Johnson, who have entered the transfer portal. So we got to see freshman Femi Odakali, who went for a season-high 18. And he'll be getting a ton of opportunities now with Xavier Johnson not playing. And he was a highly thought-of point guard coming out of New York. Leading scorer, Justin Champagny, went for 15 points, 12 boards. He's averaging 18.6 and 11.4 on the season. Pittsburgh averages 71.6 points per game. But their stat line across the board from the field, from the three, and from the foul line is going to be very different without their second and third leading scorers. Max, very interesting spot. The market believing in Pittsburgh without their second and third leading scorers. I can't wait to hear how you break this down. Wake Forest, Pittsburgh.
I'll definitely say this, Jim, before I get started, that Jeff Capel is taking this Pittsburgh program in the right direction. And regardless of these defections and these, what I call betrayals of the code, it is what it is. And this team will just go to the next man up. And I think that with the quality of the recruits on this team, there is definitely going to be a drop-off, but I don't think it's going to be that heavy. The bottom line is, when it comes to this particular matchup, Wake Forest may have an easier time versus Pitt, not having to deal with Tony and Xavier Johnson, because last time that these guys played in I believe it was a 66-65 game, they contributed 25, 10, and 11, and then a couple steals. So that's a lot of production that you're not going to have this second time out. I think that with Wake Forest, listen, they got to freaking pull it together, and they got to freaking win as a group, because they can score if they can get past 47. You know, they can give you some, I guess they can not shave a couple minutes off your life if they can get past 47. I think that you're in a good buy low situation from Wake, and you're going to need a strong first half to really build that confidence in you as a backer of them. And I think that when you look at this number, there is some definite value with Wake Forest. First off, I had this game lined at 4.5 for Pitt. So right then and there, you got 2.5 points of value. And Jim, I actually saw this line open up at 8.5 this afternoon.
Wow.
So there definitely is some money coming in on Wake. And I think that when you look at Wake, they do match up well with this Pittsburgh team. They have Ian DeBose, Davion Williamson, Isaiah Musay. Never mind. Not going to try and butcher names today. But these are guys that are comfortable in the Steve Forbes system, play well against a physical team that really isn't going to be very efficient from the field. And that's Pitt right there. I think that this is going to be a tight game. And I do think that eventually Wake Forest will succumb. But I definitely think that there's a good possibility that Wake Forest gets out to a lead, has a better start coming off such a big dismantling. And when you look at the fact that Wake Forest has suffered 4 blowouts that were all like 18 points or more, it is a good buy low spot. Pitt just freaking gave NC State the fight of their life on the road without Xavier Johnson and Tony. So maybe now that whole rule of the first game you play without your stars, you play better than you are, this is where it applies. And to even back it up even more on this play that I'm going to take on Wake Forest, listen, Pitt shouldn't be this big of a favorite. They have to really just do a good job of limiting Pittsburgh's effective field goal percentage, finding a way to shorten this game up and limit the freaking running and transition opportunities, because even Pitt's big men, including Trent Brown, who's 6'10", runs up and down the floor in transition. The main area that Wake Forest is going to be vulnerable against Pitt is going to be on the glass, and that's on the defensive and offensive side. If they're able to cover that up with early three-point shooting, well, you're giving 5 points for home court for Pitt, and I just disagree with that. So while I do think Pitt wins the game, I think that at 7 or 7.5, Jim, we have value. I'll take it at 7, but I just can't back Pitt at this big of a number.
It's moved to 6.5 at the most books here, most of the legal books. The ones that are at 7, 2 of them have it juiced, one 18 and 116, but Circa still can get you that +7 at -110. So is that what you'd like to lock in?
Yes, please.
Wake Forest Demon Deacons +7 at -110 from Maxwell Smart. And we roll on. We head over to the SEC, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 12 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. Great bet by Max on Saturday on Arkansas against LSU. Arkansas 19-5, 11-4 in the SEC. At South Carolina Gamecocks 6-12, 4-10 in conference by Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. Arkansas opening up as 7.5 point favorites at Bet365. That's moved to 6.5. This total opened up at 154.5. It's up to 156.5. The leading indicator books have moved it to 157. Arkansas's won 6 straight, coming off that 83-75 home win on Saturday over LSU. 4 players scored in double figures, led by Justin Smith, who had 19 points, 10 boards. Moses Moody went for 18 points. He's not shooting well, but he's getting to the line a lot and hitting his foul shots. He leads the Razorbacks, averaging 16.6 points per game. Arkansas extended their SEC win streak to 9. It's their longest run since 93-94. That team won the national championship. Arkansas's offense has scored 82.4 points per game this season. That's 12th among Div 1 teams. They hit 45% from the stripe, 33.6% from 3, 45% from the field, 33.6% from 3, 73.8% from the stripe. South Carolina snapped their 6-game losing streak with a 91-70 win at Georgia as 4.5-point dogs. Jermaine Cousinard scored a season-high 23 points. He came in averaging 9.3. Keyshawn Bryant added 17, Trey Hannibal 15, A.J. Lawson 11. A.J. Lawson leads the team with 17.4 points per game. South Carolina shot 54% from the field. They went 10 of 23 from the arc. It's their highest point total of the season. Are they capable of doing that 2 games in a row? I mean, they average 73.7 points per game. They shoot 42.2% from the field, 31.8% from 3. And Trey Hannibal, who scored 15 points against Georgia, and 7th Woods, who's been out of the lineup since February 20th, are both listed as questionable to go tonight. Their defense ranked 293rd overall, allowing 77.4 points per game. Max, interesting spot here. Arkansas, South Carolina, take it away.
Yeah, Jim, this is another spot where I'm going to have some split action. I'm going to play the game like it's 2 games within 1. And that's simply going to be because what we see from Arkansas is that they can get hot really fast, and then it becomes a game of just them maintaining, trying to lock down on defense, and mucking it up. So it's definitely a spot where I will be looking at Arkansas in the first half. But at this number right now, I'm struggling with what to do. I'm actually waiting to break this down for you and then make my decision right then and there, because I think that I've missed the best of the line on South Carolina at 7.5. And it's just dangerous to put your money against Arkansas, even on the road. With Moses Moody, this is the guy that has to have the game-breaking performance, but you need to keep Jalen Tate out of foul trouble. He played under 15 minutes in the most recent game, and when you don't have his driving ability and his defensive ability on the perimeter, giving you that experience and that vocal leader, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. And I think that Justin Smith they're very lucky to have him because he's able to do some of those same intangibles. And when you watch the games and you're watching these games without fans, you're hearing a lot more. And I would just love to be at the game just to hear all the talk that's going on. I think that with this Arkansas team, they have to get to the free throw line. They have to make the defense decide what they're going to do. Are you going to allow them to get to the rim and take their chances on if they can make it happen? Or are you going to nullify the chance and foul them? Obviously, this is really a hit or miss situation, and we're not going to know how it works out till tomorrow or till today. But I think that with South Carolina, listen to Frank Martin talk. This team has been through so much. They've persevered. They've had coaches out with COVID. They've had multiple stoppages. And now finally they got Jermaine Cuisinart back. They're getting Seventh Woods back tomorrow. Trey Hannibal's going to play. All these guys, these two guys, they may be questionable on the injury report, but the coach says they're going to play. Seventh Woods was available in the previous game against Georgia, but of course they didn't need him, so why use him? I think that also, looking at that South Carolina-Georgia game, you have to recognize that South Carolina has been able to handle Georgia like that, but they haven't been able to do it to anybody else. So do I really want to take my money and tell you guys to put your money on a team that really hasn't shown that they've been able to bang? And when it comes down to it, South Carolina needs to win with defense. They need Seventh Woods on the perimeter offensively and even more defensively. Why South Carolina was able to get off to a good start last game was because Jermaine Cuisinart and Trey Hannibal hit early threes, and then Cuisinart hit a couple more after that. So it really gave the offense a jump start that I don't think that they would have gotten without it. Now you're going up against Arkansas, who is going to be on red alert, knowing that this is a team now that may be on a hot streak. But I just don't have faith in the fact that South Carolina can cut down on their turnovers and get the three to drop early. I think that with Arkansas, you always have to be aware of them as a second half team where they do have a +7 advantage, and the first half's going to determine what happens in the game. I think that you may be able to get some good minutes out of Trevon Mignon, and you need to get something out of the Frenchman because with his size down low, you have a nice deterrent to some of these Arkansas slashers. But with South Carolina, you just don't know what they're going to do on defense. Are they going to gamble on steals? Are they going to be able to get around ball screens? Are they going to be able to stop and pack the paint so guys aren't spreading them out and freaking kicking and driving? So it's just a situation where South Carolina is at a disadvantage on paper. It's at a disadvantage by the numbers, and they can't play zone the whole game. So I'm reluctantly going to take South Carolina full game in this spot, but I'm taking Arkansas first half in the morning because this could be a bad spot to take South Carolina, but my number says 6.5, and I'm just going to take them. So we're just going to roll with the punches. Hopefully, A.J. Lawson, Jermaine Cuisinart, Keyshawn Bryant, and now Seventh Woods can take care of business at least full game.
Well, I can get you the +6.5 at +100. So that is the best I can do here. That's available at BetMGM. The rest of the books are at -110. So is that what you want? South Carolina Gamecocks +6.5 at +100?
Is there no 7?
There is no 7.
6.5 +100 then. Did you hear me?
Yeah. You're going to take it?
Yeah. I'll take it.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were okay. Okay, locked in. +6.5 at +100 for South Carolina. There's 5 books that I'm shopping at right now here for you of the legal license books. I will take a look at a couple others to see if I can snag you that 7. But right now, South Carolina +6.5 at +100, and that is available at BetMGM. And we roll on. Big basketball game here, 7 p.m. Eastern. big game in the Big Ten. Number 4 ranked Illinois Fighting Illini, 18-6, 14-4 in conference. At number 2 ranked Michigan Wolverines. Max, my plus 1,600 on them to win the championship is now plus 425 at my book. So that is a nice feeling. That's the only future bet I have right now, and I'm excited. Very, very, very excited. Michigan opening up as 8.5-point favorites. This has moved to 8. This total opened up at 147. It's moved to anywhere between 145 and a half and 147, depending. 145, and a half and 147, depending on where you shop. We're in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Illinois won 9-10, coming off a 74-69 win at Wisconsin on Saturday. 7-foot Jamaican Kofi Coburn went for 19.7 boards. He's averaging 17.7 and 9.9 on the season, and he has to do a lot of lifting, heavy lifting. Leading scorer Ayo Dosunmu out with a facial injury. He's listed as out for this game. I don't know if Max has any added information. On other sites, he's listed as day-to-day. Some sites he's listed as out. Illinois' high-octane offense scores 81.2 points. They hit 50.1% from the field, fix it there, and 38.1% from 3, 68.8% from the foul line. And Ayo has a lot of offense in him, so there's a lot to replace. 21 points, 6.3 boards, 5.3 assists. Michigan is rolling. Wolverines have won 7 straight. They're 5-0 since resuming play following a COVID-19 pause. They're coming off a comfortable 73-57 win at Indiana on Saturday. It was that early spot, Max, and I thought, maybe are they going to be vulnerable here? And they certainly weren't. Franz Wagner matched a season high with 21 points. Isaiah Livers, 16 points, 10 boards. Michigan scores 78.8 points a game. They allowed just 65.2. They hit 49.7% from the field, 39% from 3, 77.6 from the foul line. Max, take it away. Big game in the Big Ten, Illinois, Michigan.
Jim, just know I choose these big games because the people want the big ones. And this is a big one, This is like a BBW that you just can't handle. You got to put aside and be like, yo, I got to pass that off. And you know what? I'll tell you straight up. This is like a freaking giant cupcake that you just can't finish. And a cupcake is supposed to be 2 to 3 bites. Well, I'll tell you, this Illinois-Michigan game is going to be a spectacular game, whether or not AO plays, because this Illinois team is competent. They are capable, and they can play some pretty physical defense. And with Kofi Coburn in the middle, he's going to be the focal point of the offense. And Hunter Dickinson is going to have his hands full because Luka Garza is hard to handle. This kid is even harder to handle, and he is just a beast. He's going to get assertive. He's going to get to the free throw line. That is where the problem is. How many points is he going to leave there? And with Illinois, they got to make more free throws, and they got to get to the free throw line more and more. They're a volume free throw shooting team, and even though the percentage isn't good, they don't have to freaking win this game. They just got to stay within 8 points. So with Illinois, they got to be effective inside the arc. They got to drive. They got to penetrate. They got to spread the half court out and open those lanes for Andre Curbelo, because between Curbelo and Coburn, that's where you're going to get the bulk of your action towards the rim. I think that you got to drive. Like I'm driving over to the lady of the night's house so I can get my freaking fluids extracted. Okay? That's what you got to do. But the problem is Michigan is not going to just let you do this. Michigan knows that they are a favorite. They watch ESPN. They see Fox Sports. So what are they going to do? Michigan's coming out with a dangerous first half. Michigan's coming out and they are banging Illinois and giving them a good freaking reality check. We are not Wisconsin. We will make more free throws than you. We will be more efficient and effective with our shot selection than you. We will hit threes at will over you, on you, contested, open, don't goddamn matter. And you want to talk about someone that's going to spread you out? We'll spread you open. All right? It's all Michigan all day. I'm not scared by the number. I know it's a lot. Illinois can do what Rutgers did very easily. When you look at the stats, The offensive rebounding is very similar. The three-point shooting is somewhat similar. The defense is similar. I'm spitting up stuff out of my mouth right now. I'm getting so excited about this game. All right? I want all the cupcakes, and I want Michigan imprinted on the top of them. So let's go Wolverines. It's time for Franz, because I'm not going to mispronounce his name to all the fucking smart asses in the chat. And I'm going to say that Isaiah Livers and the point guard tandem of Eli Brooks and Mike Smith are the difference. Juwan Howard, he's not a good coach. He's just got good players to coach. He's a good recruiter. The players do the work. The system's there. 3-point assassins are going to be all over Illinois' freaking ass. They're going to brand them, okay? It's going to be glorious. Let's go Michigan.
Michigan at 7.5 at BetMGM. Every other book has it at 8.
Oh, come on. Give me that 7.5. Why are we doubting these guys? Why are we doubting them?
Minus 7.5, minus 110. Is this a first half double up spot, or you want just full game?
Yes, absolutely. First half and full game, please.
All right. Full game minus 7.5, minus 110 available at BetMGM, and a first half bet in the morning on the Michigan Wolverines. What a game this is going to be. Illinois, Michigan. We move on to an SEC battle, 7 p.m. Eastern. Auburn Tigers, 12-13 on the year, 6-10 in conference. At Alabama Crimson Tide, 19-6, 14-2 in conference. Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Let's see where we stand here. We have Alabama opening up as 10.5-point favorites. It's been a good year for you guys, Max. It's been a good year for you guys. Alabama opening up as 10.5-point favorites. That's moved to 11 at one book. This total opened up at 157.5. That's where it stands, although the leading indicator books have moved it to 157. Auburn snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 77-72 home win over Tennessee. It was their second game without Sharif Cooper, who's been out with an ankle injury. He is listed as questionable to play. Replacing Cooper's 20.2 points, 4.3 boards, 8.1 assists is not an easy task. Alan Flanagan was up to that task. He stepped up. 23.7 boards. All 5 starters scored in double digits, but the Tigers only got 2 points from their bench. On the season, they scored 77.9 points per game. They hit 43.8 from the field, 32.9 from 3, and 70.6 from the foul line. Alabama bounced back from their 81-66 loss to Arkansas by winning at Mississippi State 64-59 on Saturday to win the SEC regular season championship for the first time since 2002. Jaden Shackelford scored 10 of his 15 points in the second half. Herbert Jones grabbed 14 rebounds, helping Alabama to a 45-40 advantage on the glass. Javon Quinterly, 19 points for Alabama. The bench outscored Mississippi State's bench 36-5. But, Max, will Alabama come ready to fight hard with the regular season championship clinched and wrapped up? And that's the big question. Will they still come hard? Will they still fight hard? Max, take it away. Auburn, Alabama.
Jim, let me tell you something about Alabama basketball, coached by Nate Oates, a guy who is very brutally honest, and I get along with people that are like that. I'm not trying to read between the lines. I'm not trying to read your mind. And with Coach Oates, he tells it how it is, even if he shouldn't tell it how it is. So I'll go like this. Definitely it is a look-ahead spot because you've won the SEC championship. You want to stay healthy. You want to freaking get that very high seed that you're expecting, like a 3 or a 4. But you're playing Auburn. You're playing Cowfield University, all right? And listen, Cowfield, I got to give them some credit because this is a team that I figured that was going to be – I'm embarrassed to say this, a 5-13, a 5-15 type conference season, and it's been far from that. I think that with this Auburn team, there has been some impressive growth, but not having Sharif Cooper sometimes is a better thing for the development of this team and program. What we've seen without Sharif Cooper in the last 2 games is a shift where there was an emphasis on Alan Flanagan having the ball in his hand more, really facilitating the offense and deciding whether or not he was going to be looking for his shot first or passing second. Well, in the last game, they shifted Flanagan more over to where he's more comfortable as that scoring guard, a guy who's a receiver of gifts. And Jamal Johnson, the way that he played at the point was fantastic. So they really got something ironed out that is going to benefit this team overall, and I think could benefit them in this game. I think against this Alabama team, it's a very drastic and obvious need and want from this game. Alabama wants to be the best defensive team in the country. They know they can score. They know they can spread you out, and if you give them lanes to drive, they'll either go to the rim or they'll kick it back out to those open threes. And the most efficient shots that you can get in the course of your offense in the half court are those layups, of course, and are those open kick-out threes. Well, Alabama does that actually expert what they do it like an expert. Excuse my miswording there, but Auburn, they really can play that type of style also. They can grind with you, they can run with you, and it really is going to come down to what you're getting in the front court from Auburn. And with Jalen Williams, this is a guy that I wish was wearing an Alabama jersey, because he is scratching the surface of what he can be and what he can do. And throw him with JT Thor and his running ability, throw in his defensive fierceness. This is a tough group for Alabama to beat by double digits, even at home. Situationally, it's not a good spot for them. And with defense first, and that being the main topic and the main message that the players and the coaching staff were trying to get out to the media, it's like, well, are we really expecting 180 points? I line this game at 8.5 for Alabama and 153.5 on the total. I like the under in this game. Call me an idiot all you want. I'm taking the under in this game, and I'm going to have to just freaking bite my pride and take Auburn on the spread at 11, because with Alabama, their three-point defense is going to be front and foremost against Auburn's three-point shooting attack. So if Auburn can hit their 8 threes a game, then that's going to really put a damper on Alabama's ability to freaking widen this margin of victory. I think that with Alabama, we still have to point out that this is a team that's committing 15 turnovers a game on a low end. So those points and those wasted possessions will come back to haunt you on the spread. And it's just hard to tell what you're going to get from Auburn on a game-to-game basis. So you just have to go with the number value. The number says that I take Auburn here. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take the under. So 2.5 points of value or more means I should make the play, and I don't want to leave money on the table like I may be leaving money on the table in another particular under that I'm not tripling up on.
111 left at Circa, and that is yours at minus 110. There's 156.5 at Fox Bet. Oh, Fox Bet's at 157. There's 156.5 at Circa and Bet MGM. But at Bet 365, we have a 157.5. And at FanDuel, we have, pull this up here quickly, at FanDuel, a 157.5 as well. So let's get you that right now. So we're on Auburn plus 11 at minus 110 at Circa. And then we're on the under 157.5 at minus 110 at FanDuel. Very, very interesting breakdown, Max. And I like where you're at in this spot. I may be tailing for sure on the side. We'll move on. We've been hammering heavyweights, and there's more heavyweight action to come. But we stop in the NEC, little makeup game here. 7 p.m. Eastern, Merrimack Warriors, 9-7, 9-7 in conference at the Wagner Seahawks, 11-6, 11-5 in conference. We are in Staten Island, New York for this. Merrimack coming off splitting a 2-game series with St. Francis of Brooklyn on Thursday and Friday. Ziggy Reed had a career-high 29 points in that last game on Friday in the 75-67 win. Mikey Watkins, Jordan Minor, Ziggy Reed, all averaging double digits for Merrimack. They score 66.7 points per game. They hit 44.4% from the field, but just 30.7% from three and 66.1% from the line. Wagner coming off splitting 2 games at Central Connecticut State. They lost the second game on Friday, 83-77 as 10-point favorites. They went just 3 of 20 from 3. Wagner has won its last 4 games, scoring an average of 72.3 points, allowing 66.5. They are a very good offensive rebounding team. The offensive rebounding percentage is 34.4%. That's 28th highest in the country. And Merrimack, 21.5%, 323rd in the country. Seahawks are being led by senior guards Alex Morales and Elijah Ford. They score 17.6 and 17.9 points respectively. They score 72.2 a game and 44.8 from the field, 32.8 from 3, 70.3% from the stripe. Is this a bounce back spot for Wagner? And I realize now that I have not broken this down from a market perspective. We have Wagner at 5.5-point favorites. That's moved to 5 at one book, and this total at 130 or 129.5. Does Wagner bounce back here, Max? Take it away.
Jim, let's celebrate the fact that Wagner's been very good to us. Wagner's been very good to everybody. Wagner's been a fantastic team that I did not expect to be as talented with their freshmen coming together as they have. With Elijah Allen and Delaney Hunt, you have 2 quality impact freshmen that have just made a huge difference and will make a difference next year in your program. With Delaney Hunt, the guy barely sees the bench. He's a minute hound. He's a minute. Oh. Yeah, okay, he's a hound. But he's also the type of guy with a killer instinct. He's scored multiple game-tying and game-winning shots this year. And with Elijah Allen, he's just a 3-point shot away from going off. He's going to give you 2 a game. So you're getting really good performances from areas of this roster that I didn't project to get that type of impact. And with Alex Morales and his scoring and facilitating, that's going to be the key in this matchup. The guy's averaging 5.57 assists, 15 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and 1.7 steals. What you have to do is you have to get to your spot. You have to be able to force the issue against this Merrimack team. You have to play around the bucket, and that's what they've done. This has been a Wagner team that's exemplified what it is to play tough, physical, and played on both ends. When they crush on the O-glass, which they do around 12 a game, and have a conference-leading rebound margin of over 2, this is a team that is hard to beat, especially on their home floor. I had this game lined at 7.5, and I had this total at 138.5. So I'm going to take Wagner. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take and put our money on the fact that Will Martinez is going to be the most improved player of the year. Elijah Ford may be the player of the year. And Elijah Ford, while he's giving you 20-plus point games in his short season because they haven't played a full season whatsoever and he had injury issues, he's also the only player on the team in double figures in blocks and steals with 12 and 25 respectively. So there's just so many different weapons on this team that can stand out on any given night. And when they're all balanced and doing it together and playing team basketball, which is pretty often, how do you not take them? Then throw in the fact that it's a situational spot that if they win this game, they clinch the first spot in the NEC tournament. They get that home court, and that's going to be important in this 2-round tournament that they're playing this year. Merrimack just went on a COVID pause, so their series got canceled. So it's really about winning this first game. Tomorrow, the next game that they play, that's a different story. They may fall on their face. But I think that Wagner's going to win this game. They're going to probably have a little bit of a slower first half, but I do think that they'll pick it up in the second and dominate. They just got to play their tempo with lots of high percentage shots and 3-point defense versus Merrimack. You don't want to let Ziggy Reed go off for another career game. And with Jordan Minor, Mikkel Daring, and then even freshman Malik Edmead, who is, I think, the X factor off the bench, 3-point defense is going to be front and foremost. You're Wagner. You're the Seahawks. You don't have to worry about shooting threes. You shoot threes when they're open. You go into the lane. You get to the free throw line. You score high percentage shots. You cover for us. You get this goddamn game over. It's just too low of a total at 129.5, Jim. You got 7 or 8 points of value right there. So let's go. Sign me up for both.
I can't get you the 129.5. I can only get you 130.
Okay, I'll take it regardless.
Over 130 at minus 110. Now you have a choice. The 5.5s at minus 106, the 5s at minus 118, and the other books have not added this game up because it was the reschedule.
5.5 minus 106.
All right, let's lock you in. Wagner, Seahawks, Staten Island's finest, minus 5.5 and minus 106 at FanDuel, and the over 130 at minus 110, also at FanDuel. Exciting breakdown, NEC action. We have 2 games left on Max's card, both at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we start with the number 25th ranked Wisconsin Badgers, 16-9, 10-8 in the Big Ten at Purdue Boilermakers, 16-8, 11-6 in conference. We're at Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, Indiana. Let's get this market movement up here and pull this up. Here we go. Purdue, number 23 ranked Purdue, opening up as 1.5-point favorites. That's moved to 2 at a couple books. This total opened up at 129. The indicator books have moved it to 129.5. Again, that's a Bet365 opener. Wisconsin coming up their 3rd loss in 4 games, 74-69 at home to Illinois on Saturday. Dimitric Trice was excellent, 9 for 16 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3 for 29 points. He got just 2 assists. The Badgers team only had 10 assists. No one had more than 2. They struggled to get easy buckets. They went 34.8% from the field. Trice and Micah Potter are the only Badgers averaging double digits. The Wisconsin offense has recorded a turnover on only 13.5% of its possessions. That's second best in the nation. So while they don't get a lot of distribution, they also don't turn the ball over. As a team, they score 69.8 points per game, hit 42% from the field, 35.7% from 3, 75.6% from the foul line. Purdue has beaten Wisconsin 4 straight times at Mackey Arena. They've won 3 straight overall, all by double digits. They've scored 77 points per game on this 3-game home winning streak. They've allowed just 65.7. Coming off a 73-52 win at Penn State on Friday, Sasha Stefanovic scored 16 points. Jaden Ivey added 14 to go along with 4 blocks. It was the largest margin of victory for the Boilermakers at Penn State since 2008. They have 6 players averaging 8-plus points per game, but only Stefanovic and Travion Williams average double digits. They score 70.9 points per game, hit 45% from the field, 33.6 from 3, and 71.4% from the stripe. Max, Wisconsin, Purdue, big game. Take it away.
Yeah, ordinarily, Jim, I don't like to take these old teams versus these young teams, and that's what Purdue is. But Purdue is trying to play a little older, rotating in Isaiah Thompson and Aaron Wheeler. I think that against Wisconsin at Mackey Arena, it's really hard to not take Purdue in this spot. So I'm just going to not fight the freaking power, and I'm going to take Purdue. Listen, this is a top 25 team and in offensive and defensive efficiency. It's very hard to do that, and that's a well-coached, a good system, an understood system with pieces that buy into it. I think that this is going to be a situation where Wisconsin definitely struggles to score. This is a Purdue defense that has not allowed an opponent to get past 72 points in 13 straight games. So a Wisconsin team total under is definitely a candidate for a play for me tomorrow, but not for the show, just because it is a little obscure even for my betting standards. But it is going to come down to a battle of the bigs. Roovers and Micah Potter, and even freaking Ben Carlson to an extent versus Trevion Williams, Aaron Wheeler, and Zach Edey. Well, while I'm on the Aaron Wheeler topic, excuse my language, Jim, but fuck you, Aaron Wheeler. You're a cuck. You're taking away minutes from Toronto-born 7'4" Zach Edey, and anybody watching the game wants to watch Zach play and not you butcher free throws and cost us freaking spreads and money. So now that I got that out of my system, Jim, I'm ready to get back to it. I think that with Matt Painter's rotation, we've really seen him tighten up this guard rotation, really going with a 4-guard lineup with Jaden Ivey, Stefanovic, Mason Gillis, and then Eric Hunter Jr. And with these 4 guys, they have a bunch of things in common, you know. They win with guarding. They win with forcing turnovers, making it uncomfortable for their opponent to get into rhythm. And the way that these guards box out on the defensive glass is very admirable. It shows that toughness that the Boilermakers have instilled in a lot of their recruits over the years. And boxing out on those defensive misses are key for them to keep the tempo that they want, and that's how they keep teams under 70. This is a first half team, in my opinion. They grind with the lead. They have a 4-point first half advantage, but they are playing an opponent in Wisconsin that is going to be hungry, you know. They were expected to beat Illinois without Ayo in the lineup, and obviously we saw what happened with that. And I think that when it comes down to it, you got to just look at the numbers. Purdue is shooting 46% in the last 5 games with 5 more field goal makes than Wisconsin, the 35%. Take away Demetrius Trice's 29 points in that game, and it looks a lot uglier. So the reality is I don't trust this front court to score on a consistent basis in Wisconsin, and I do like the fact that Purdue is surging at the right time of year. This is a team that's trying to get a 6 seed or higher in the tournament, and they got to win this game and keep on winning to do that. They're plus 10 on the defensive glass. If they can limit their turnovers to 11 a game, which is just funny that I even have to mention that when you're turning the ball over 11 times a game, that's pretty good in my books. But against Wisconsin, you're going to have to do better. I think that they do, and I think that they freaking smack them around. I had this line at 3.5. So I think that Purdue's the spot here. I like them even at 2, but I'll take him at 1.5 if I can get minus 110 juice.
You can at both Circa and Bet365. Purdue Boilermakers minus 1.5 at minus 110 in Mackey Arena. Exciting game in the Big Ten. One final game on Max's card, 9 p.m. Eastern. Marquette Golden Eagles. 11-13, 6-11 in the Big East at DePaul Blue Demons, 14-12, 2-12 in the Big East. We're at Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Let's pull up the market for this spot. Marquette opening up is 5.5-point road favorites. That has yet to move here. That's the Bet365 opener. This total opened up at 136. The indicator books have moved it to 137. A couple books are still at 136. Some are still at 136 or have moved to 136.5. Marquette had their 2-game winning streak snapped in an ugly 80-62 beatdown delivered to them by UConn, a beatdown that Max predicted and cashed off of. Dawson Garcia had 18 points and 8 rebounds. Justin Lewis added 14 points. They were the only 2 in double digits. Jamal Cain had 5.7 boards, but he's listed as questionable to go with a facial injury. Garcia leads the team, averaging 13.3 points per game. Carton and Kobe McEwen also averaged double digits. Marquette scores 70.5 points per game. They hit 44.6 from the field, 73.3 from the foul line, and 33.2 from 3. DePaul's lost 2 straight and 7 of 8. Coming off a 68-60 loss at home to Georgetown as 3.5-point underdogs. Charlie Moore led the way with 22 points. He leads the team with 14.8 points per game. Second leading scorer, Javon Freeman Liberty, is dealing with a concussion. Third leading scorer, Oscar Lopez, is dealing with an ankle injury. Both are listed as questionable. Neither was in the lineup in the loss to Georgetown, and DePaul struggles to score. They average just 65.6 points per game. They get just 11.9 assists per game. They turn the ball over 16.2 times a game. They hit just 41.8% from the field, just 67.4 from the foul line, and they're average or like slightly below average from three at 32.3%. Max, final game on the card, Big East action, Marquette, DePaul. Let's roll.
Jim, let me just start off by saying this. Hey, Marquette, how you like UConn, baby? How you like UConn, baby? You try to get revenge. You failed. You stepped into a rake. Rake hits you in the face. You're lucky you don't have to deal with us again. Betas, take you out. But now you get the pleasure of playing DePaul, another team that beats you. You jokes. Simply put, if Marquette's going to situationally rebound, hopefully they can do it against a DePaul team that may be missing Oscar Lopez and Javon Freeman-Liberty. So with DePaul, like you said, Jim, they're bad on offense, and they've been good to the under. 3-13 to the under, 4 tickets that they've cashed in the 130 range. And this number definitely seems like a number that's a little too high for these two opponents. And with DePaul, listen, they're a slow starter. They only scored 27, 29 points. Depends on what game, what day, what time. And I don't trust them to score points, Jim. I don't trust them. It's like when a guy in a van pulls up on the road and it's like, hey, I got some porn in here. Do you want to watch it with me? And you're like, no. And you run fast. Well, that's sort of like DePaul. Okay? With Marquette, can they contain this DePaul team at the free throw line? Charlie Moore wants to get there. There's a lot of guys that want to get there, but there's a good opportunity also that you can strip them, take the ball away from them, and then get out into transition. And with the way that Marquette shot the ball against my UConn Huskies, they need all the takeaways and transition layups that they can get, because Marquette had a blimp in the road. They beat Butler. They beat freaking North Carolina in a freaking game that they weren't expected to have a shot in, and then they come up lame like that. So I think that with Dawson Garcia, the only one being able to get going in that game against UConn, you are going to see DJ Carton go better than 0 for 9 from the field. And with Greg Elliott, this is a guy that needs to step up shooting-wise, We're expecting a 3-point assassin from him. He's been freaking a limp duck, if I'm getting a little out of hand, Jim. But I just think that with this Marquette team, they got to have more discipline on lane drives when it comes to their fouling. And the UConn throttling that they got on the defensive end is probably going to make it a little easier to score. I just don't think that it's going to be that much easier to get this game over the number. I like Marquette to win the game, but I don't like DePaul enough to freaking take them at this number on the spread. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a total. I'm going to take the full game under. I'm going to count on both defenses coming to play. Both teams turn the ball over 15 or more times. And with DePaul, listen, Charlie Moore is trying to do it all himself. And if Charlie's going to go freaking 8 for 25 from the field, then that's fine by me. That helps. I think that this DePaul team has proven over and over again that they can keep their games under this number. And I think that it doesn't get past 131. So I'm going to take the under full game, Jim. What number can you get me?
I can get you – there's some at 136, but I can get you under 136.5 at minus 110. That is available at circa the others that have moved to 136. So the under is minus 106. But you want the 136.5 minus 110?
Yes, sir.
All right, locked and loaded. And that concludes Max's card. Big games on this Tuesday night of action. Max, let's review how you are handling things. Make sure I didn't make any mistakes. 1, West Virginia Mountaineers, full game, plus 4.5, minus 110 at FanDuel. And you are going to be moving on Baylor first half in the morning. Then you move on the Wake Forest Deacons, plus 7 at minus 110. That's at Pittsburgh. Then at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, you are on the South Carolina Gamecocks, plus 6.5 at plus 100. But you are also going to be moving on Arkansas first half come manana. Then you have the Michigan Wolverines, minus 7.5 and minus 110. And you're also going to move on them first half when it is available. You're on the Auburn Tigers, plus 11, and the under 157.5 in Auburn, Alabama. Then you have Wagner, minus 5.5 and minus 106 at FanDuel, and the over 130. That's a minus 110 also at FanDuel. You have Purdue Boilermakers, minus 1.5. And then you close up your shop with the under 136.5 in Marquette, DePaul. Does that all sound right?
Yes, sir.
Max, exciting stuff coming off a rare losing day on Saturday, 5-7 down 2.80 units, having a monster year. 221 wins, 178 losses, hitting at 55.4%, plus 26.76 units, ROI plus 6.71%, average line minus 109. Extremely impressive stuff, Max. Do you have any final words to the great cappers that are supporting our show here on odds.com?
Yeah, I'll say this to the great cappers that watch odds and know where the best betting content that they can get is. I hear that 6% or 5% ROI is good for a professional bettor over a large sample size. Well, I'll say this. I'm going to brag a little. I could make 30% in one day off my volume betting. So if I could do that 3 times in a week, 12 times in a month, put 2 and 2 together, or 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 together. But I'll say this. When you're eating your goddamn pancakes, guys, I can't stress this enough. Get your goddamn dark maple syrup. Don't be lazy. Don't get that freaking light stuff. All right? If I got to come on this show with the dark maple syrup and pour it into my mouth or pour it on my face, I will. Don't make me do it, though. Let's hopefully get some winners, because watching those breakdowns on Saturday ruined my day. I want to have a better day for you guys. I want to have a better day for my guy, Jimmy the Bag. And it's March Madness. So let's get mad.
I love it. I absolutely love it. On behalf of Maxwell Smart and myself and Dark Syrup Everywhere, thank you guys for watching.